Hi guys, screenwriting is a lot, right? It can be quite overwhelming and you can learn so much stuff, and I think you can always learn new things and develop as a screenwriter. And you can read so many books and follow so many gurus, and it can be, like I said, overwhelming. And I went to film school and I have taken some screenwriting classes and kept on writing and reading books. I have came across some knowledge here and there. Anyway, I have put down some basic knowledge of screenwriting and storytelling and into a presentation. So if you're keen to learn the basic of screenwriting and storytelling, then this video is for you. Let's go. Okay, like I said, screenwriting and storytelling. So the agenda for today is storytelling, screenwriting, and story structure. So this is me as a kid. I'm probably 3-4 years old, I don't know, 2, I don't know. And my interest in storytelling started when I was a kid and I was playing with dolls, like a lot. And as I was playing with my siblings, I wanted to come up with new ideas that what would happen in the game the next day when we were gonna play again. So I was laying in my bed and I was thinking and I was talking to my sister, and you know what, I want this to happen, and then I want this to happen. And I remember I and my sister, we were writing down ideas that could happen. And I think that's like the spark for me to learn screenwriting and film. And as I grew up, I took a degree in film, and I've taken several screenwriting classes, and here I am, still learning screenwriting and love to learn more and write. Storytelling is the most powerful way to put ideas into the world today, Robert McKee. And I agree. So where is storytelling? Everywhere. So listen, I went to the store today and it was so pouring and I was so wet. It was kind of like dripping down through my clothes to the floor. And I was gonna pick up a bag of chips, so I went to the aisle and there was an old lady there. She was so mad because she couldn't find her favorite chips. I mean, come on. Seriously, who wouldn't be mad? So she was yelling, and then someone working in the store walked by and she was screaming to that poor guy working in the store, and he was so kind. He tried to help her find her favorite bags of chips. She had an umbrella, so she wasn't as sold as me, luckily, and she wanted to, I don't know what happened, everything happened so fast, but she stepped over her umbrella and she kind of tripped on it, and at the same time he like turned around, so his elbow like crushed her in the eye, and she was so mad. And I had like to hurry, so I saw she was okay and everything, and I kept on buying my stuff. And later on I saw her like at the cashier, and she had like a bag of peas on her eye, and she was talking to the manager, and she was still upset but a bit more calm. And I walked outside and it was sunny, and I was so happy I didn't bring an umbrella, even though I was very wet. So the thing with this story is that I just made it up. Like now, I made it up, so it's not true. Okay, so I just made it up, but who can't relate? I don't mean like this story in particular, but like when you meet someone like in a party or something, and they tell you about something that happened to them that day, they're not gonna be like, oh, you know what, I went to the store today. The end. They don't say anything more. Or they're not gonna be like, and then I went out and it was sunny, and then it was like, okay, but what's before when you went out? So, you cannot tell the stories like this all everywhere, and we have done that like as long as anyone can remember. So the thing though with this story, even if I just made it up, is that they had the beginning, the middle, the end. The beginning, I went to the store. The middle, oh god, the woman got like a black eye and she had like a bag of peas, and I went outside and it was sunny. So storytelling is pretty much about the beginning, the middle, and the end. And I think that's something that we have learned for so many years. I think it was Aristotle who taught it and came up with this, even if it was in like books and stuff. I mean, storytelling, like beginning, middle, end, that's essential for like anything when you're gonna tell a story, like in books, in blogs, on Instagram reel, or like the news, they have the beginning, middle, end. I mean, there's just a way how you kind of try to tell people of something that happened or anything. So what is storytelling really about, though? It's about this: change. We want to see a character, a person develop. You don't want it to be static, because that's gonna be boring. We want to be entertained. So this is how change could be. So this, I hope, it's a picture of Lady Gaga as a kid. It looks like it. Like this could be the beginning. She's a young woman, middle, we don't know, and then she became a pop star. Or it could also look like this: beginning, middle, end, like young woman, pop star. What's gonna happen? We don't know. So that could be change and a story. But one thing that storytelling and screenwriting has as well is this: conflict. Without conflict, it will not be so much to watch. It's very essential in storytelling, and especially screenwriting. And you have constant conflict in each scene, in the dialogue, in each act, in each sequence. Something happens in the story which will create a conflict. And we will question ourselves. What will happen? What will happen? And that will like involve in a major conflict that we will ask ourselves throughout the whole story. Will they survive the Titanic? Will they win the contest? Will the cop find the bad guy? And this is also essential in storytelling. You want to show, don't tell. So this is Dawson from Dawson's Creek. And you want to show how a character feels without telling how they feel. Because it will be very much on the nose. It won't be that entertaining. And this is very essential for storytelling and screenwriting. Show, don't tell. You don't want to say like, oh, I'm upset. You want to show them he's upset and why and what happened. One of the biggest questions is, how do you tell an engaging story? Wow, it's a big question, and if everyone knew it, and if there was an easy answer to this, I guess everyone would pretty much win an Oscar by now, or any big contest. But here's the thing though, I got the truth for you, right here, right now. Are you ready for it? This is how it could be. You can write a great story, an engaging story. And this is Chris Vogler. Or it could also look like this. And you have Sid Field, Aristotle, Blake Snyder, and so on. I mean, it looks very easy, right? Or it could look like this. And there you have Robert McKee as well, Michael Haig, John Truby, Blake Snyder, Chris Vogler. It's pretty much a lot of heroes. So great that we have covered this. There you go. There you have it. Just go on and write, right? This is how you tell stories. Okay. So I have studied a lot of different heroes. I mean, I have read a lot of books. I haven't read all of them. I have still so many more to read. And sometimes they kind of go against each other. They have different ways of describing things. And then I'm standing there in the middle like, who should I listen to? This is so much information. So many gurus, so many experts. And I mean, I think you can learn something from all of them. But there's one thing that I learned, and I can't remember from who said it first, but I think everyone can agree on this. And there's one rule you cannot break. And it's this. Never be boring. Because if you're boring, no one's gonna watch your movie. They're not gonna keep on reading your story or your book or screenplay or watch your Instagram post. When it comes to story and screenwriting, you cannot be boring because you want to be entertained. You want people to keep on watching and your eyes travel down the page so they stay. Because otherwise they're gonna leave the movie theater or not continue reading the book or the screenplay. And speaking of screenwriting, I have put together a screenwriting crash course. Crash course. Say that 10 times in a row. So this is a screenplay from the Americans. And in screenwriting, you are always writing what you see, not describing thoughts like in books. So you don't want to add that much time on like what a room looks like if it's not essential to the story. Like if there's like a prop that's very essential for the story, you need to write it in, but you don't have that much space. Because one page is 1 minute in screenwriting. So you don't have that time. And a screenplay is about 90 to 110 pages long, at least a feature. And you need to have change in every act and conflict in every act and scene and dialogue. So you have got a lot stuff to get in there. So you don't have time to waste on like describing the room. And you want to have undertone in the dialogue and you want to have action. You want the characters to be doing something. You don't want them to walk into the room and be like, oh, hi, how are you doing? It's not like Harry walked up to Voldemort and like, hi, are you having a lovely day? They walked into the room and bam, there was conflict. And everything is written in present, as it happens right now in front of our eyes. Even if it's a flashback, it's because that's how video is. You see it as if it's happening right now on the screen. So like in this screenplay, it's written, Philip walks in. He walks in. He didn't walked in. They're having dinner right now. They didn't had dinner. So everything happens right now. But what about structure? And this is a lot in screenwriting. And most of the software will help you with like the headings, like the slug lines, the interior and exterior, which describes where are you in the story. Because it's very important with like keeping it like with 3 acts, 4 acts, 5 acts, like all the guru says. 8 sequences. The thing you cannot break is like having different fonts and stuff, and that might be like, you know, people wonder like why does it matter that much, but yeah, it does. You want to look professional, right? So I think it's the easiest way is just to get like a software that you know they are following the standard, so you don't have to like think of it as much. It will definitely makes it easier and you're being able to focus on the story. But anyway, what about structure? So yeah, the gurus are talking a lot and they have so many different thoughts. And I have written down some of my stuff. And a lot of it is from Blake Snyder, Save the Cat. So let's have a look. So we had the beginning, we had the middle, and we had the end. The setup, confrontation, and resolution. And I think that's Sid Field that said setup, confrontation, resolution. So this is the story. And then we have 3 acts. But then some people say you can divide the second act to 2 parts. So you have the first act, we have 2A, 2B, 3. So some would say this is 4 acts, but someone would say this is 3 acts. It all depends on how you look at it, really. So the story starts with inciting incident. Something needs to happen from the ordinary world. You're introduced to the main character, and then bam, something happens that they didn't anticipate. Like in Home Alone, for example, Kevin wakes up and there's no one there. That could be like an inciting incident for him. But I think actually the inciting incident is that they black out, so they didn't wake up from the alarm, and they're hurrying to their flight, and they kind of forget Kevin. And then you have break into 2. So this is like in the first act, you need to set up the whole story, and put the big conflict there. Like, what is gonna happen? What is the goal for this character? So that should be clear when you break into the second act. And then there's a midpoint, and that's the middle of the story. So if you would pause like a movie, you will usually see a big turning point. It's usually a false defeat or false victory. Maybe a cop like, yes, we got the bad guy. And then like, that wasn't the bad guy. There's a false victory. And then you have the moment of all is lost. And it's just like it sounds. The main character feel like everything is not going as planned. I'm sitting here, everything sucks, my life is over, pretty much. And usually, it's a fun thing, that was usually around a fire camp, so they sit there and talk about life and trying to like, this is not gonna go the way I want. But then they find some new way, like I should try this to win the contest or survive or get the girl. And that's break into 3. Maybe they're finding new information and getting a new way of doing things. And there's climax, where everyone has been waiting for, like Harry meets Voldemort. Okay, want and need. So a character have a want, it's pretty much the goal, like what they want, and a need. And that's usually a flaw inside of the character. So they need to reach something. But more on that later on. But so you have a main character. Like, who is your character? You need to know that. What do they want? Like, what's their goal? What happens if they don't get it? Okay, well, the people on Titanic, they're gonna die if they don't survive, you know. If I lose the contest, I will be ashamed. Or if I can't stop the burglars from getting into my house, like in Home Alone, they will steal something or get into my house, or something bad will happen to me. For example. And who is in the way of getting it? Like, all stories need to have like this big antagonist. Even if it's not a real person, but it's usually a person. Like Spider-Man, he also have those bad guys. Or like in Home Alone, the burglars, or in Titanic, it could be her fiancé, but it could also, the iceberg and the ship sinking. From the very beginning of the story, your hero has one or more great weaknesses that are holding him back. And here we come into the need part. Because the thing though, the hero has an external goal and an internal goal. And like I said, it has a need, like a flaw, like something within them that they need to change or learn to get the goal. Like Lightning McQueen he wants to win the race, but he's very stubborn and think he can do it by himself. So he needs to learn how to have friends and teammates, you know. So he has this goal, but in order to reach that goal, he needs to change something within himself. And the goal could be like trying to survive, or get the girl, or win the contest, or survive the sinking Titanic. And it's our job as writers to make it as impossible for the main character to reach the goal. And it sounds awful, but the more obstacles, there's gonna be a more entertaining story, and people are gonna be more hooked and excited because they don't want it to be so easy, because that's gonna be a boring story. And you don't want to be boring, right? That's it, my friends. Thank you. This was a lot. But I think though it's a great beginning. I hope so. Please let me know in the comments. And what have you learned about screenwriting? Would you like to share? Please add a comment about that as well. And please consider subscribing and hit that like button. And let me know if you like these kind of videos, and I will continue making them. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.
You're never here when my tears dry. You're never around to see me thrive.